CJ here. I am here today with Nick Thull. We are excited to hear from Nick about his journey to KLRE and kind of what he's learned along the way. So let's just jump in. Nick, where are you from, dude?
I am from Farmington, Minnesota.
Farmington, Minnesota, born and raised.
Born and raised, Farmington, Lakeville area, South Metro boy.
Siblings, family, how big is your family?
I have one brother and one sister.
Okay.
We're all halves, so none of us are fully full siblings. My parents like to have multiple partners, apparently.
Age-wise, where do you fit in that?
My little brother is 16 years younger than me, and my sister is 10 years older than me.
Okay.
So I'm like right in the middle.
It sounds like there's like three only children.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, did you feel like that, or did you interact?
Well, I'm still
with each
the
other?
only child.
But did you interact with each other?
I don't even know who they are.
Are you serious?
No, I do.
Okay.
But I'm still an only child.
Okay, hey, that's good. That's
Yep.
good. So 16 years younger, 10 years older. So when growing up, like who did you live with?
So my dad raised me with my sister. So
Oh.
she was kind of like the provider because my parents were separated.
Okay.
Then my mom got remarried when I was 13 and had my little brother.
Mm-hmm.
Remarried when I was 13. And then when I was 16, had my little brother.
Okay. Where'd you go to high school?
Farmington High School.
Farmington High School.
Yeah.
Then where'd you go after that?
I went to Winona State University, got my 2-year degree. Didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, so I got out.
Yeah.
And after that, went into the service industry.
Okay, let's jump to Winona. So you went there 2 years. What do you remember? What you were interested in, or
Yep.
just kind of?
I wanted to be an athletic trainer, so I
Okay.
was really into fitness.
Yeah.
Can't tell now because I'm a little chunky, but I was super into fitness, and all I cared about was working out, and that was kind of my drive at one point. And then
I'm laughing not because you don't look fit. I'm laughing because the first several times I met you, you were wearing gym shorts and sleeveless T-shirts here.
I mean,
at
I
the
can
office.
take off my
No,
shirt.
that's fine. You did like I remember seeing you with sleeves on. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah. Do you want to see the guns?
So
there.
that conceal and carry. There you go. Winona. Let's jump back a little bit. Do you remember your first job? What did you do for your first job?
My first job was working for my stepdad doing like lawn maintenance, landscaping, whatever I could do when I was, 10 years old, working for the family business for $5 an hour.
Okay.
And I'd save up my $5 an hour and go and buy a Tommy Hilfiger shirt for $90. And
Nice.
that's all I wanted was Tommy Hilfiger t-shirts.
Okay, this is Farmington. What mall did you go to? Because you couldn't just order it online.
Burnsville Center.
Burnsville.
That was
Center.
the happening place.
We might have to show like pictures of a Tommy Hilfiger original '90s shirt and add that to this video. But so that was your first kind of working experience, landscaping with the family.
Yep.
What was your first job?
I worked at the Farmington Steakhouse as a dishwasher.
Okay.
And due to my gag reflex and gross garbage, I couldn't perform at that job. It was absolutely disgusting.
Okay. Okay. Now then, Winona State. You said you went there and then ended up going in the service industry right after that.
Yep. So I took a position in management at a Baker Squares, slanging slices of pie all weekend, and that was fun for a brief moment.
Well, was that back in the cities? So after Winona?
Apple Valley.
Apple Valley.
Yep.
And how long did you do that for?
I did that for like 3 years.
Okay.
And then after that, I actually got into a lot of trouble.
Okay.
And ended up having to go to treatment.
Okay.
And then I went back into the service industry and was at Stella's for 15 years.
And share as much or as little as you want, but I think that's part of a lot of people's stories that, I mean, I've talked to a lot of people where that's something that they've walked through. But how long was that season for you? You said you were working and then you kind of went to treatment stuff.
So I got in heavily into methamphetamine and literally lost everything. Had to start from scratch. Went to treatment, I think, 4 separate times. Was living literally on couches and hotels and on friends, houses that were also users. And then finally had the realization one morning when I woke up that, I was on a few-day crash for didn't have any drugs for a while, and I needed to change my life. And then that's when I decided to go to treatment or to sober up and seek help. And then
and you said that was the fourth time you went in, or
so that would have been like technically the third time, because that was the inpatient. Then I did a fourth treatment of outpatient, which was post care for the 60 days that I was in.
How long was this stretch of your life that you were kind of doing?
About roughly a year from the moment I started dabbling into drugs. From the moment I sobered up was probably about a year and a month.
Okay.
But I literally hit rock bottom, didn't work. All I did was use drugs and just tormented society.
Thank you for sharing it. And I know a lot of times people either skip over that part or hide it. And I feel like when people get to the point where they can talk about it, it means that they've actually healed from it or overcome it and can use it as motivation.
Yep.
And so looking back at that time now, in that moment when you said, okay, I'm going to make that decision, I'm going to change my life, talk about those beginning stages of that shift in your life.
Well, it was, the moment when you realize that you have nothing left and you have no more resources. That's where you need to, find help. And that's when I decided to call my family and sober up. And those first 3 months were the worst 3 months of my life, where you're just completely depressed, angry. All I did was eat and sleep. And then I had to be proactive and go into a treatment setting. While I was there, they gave me the tools that I needed to overcome the problems that I created myself by my using habits. Yeah. And then from there, I've just started working and, working out again. Those became my two, focuses on life.
The healthy way to kind of deal with some stuff.
Yep.
And then kind of getting your life back on track. How do you jump back into work?
I went back and, did the familiar thing of working with my stepdad, because it was the family business, and I needed that mentorship, that leadership, that role model.
Yeah.
And then I gradually went back into the serving, bartending type of atmosphere, which I enjoy.
At what age were you at this time?
I was 22.
Okay.
So from the moment I went from 21 to 22 is when life I just checked out of life and didn't do anything.
But at 22, though, I mean, to get all that through your system per se, and that's you still got a lot to go after that.
Well, with the problems that I created, it forced me to grow up really quickly. Filing with bankruptcy, had some legal troubles as well. Yeah. Where it forced me to be an adult and take responsibility for my actions.
Man, well, again, thanks for sharing that part of your story, and I'm excited to hear a little bit more to see where it connects and how you are using it to motivate. What can you tell people that either have struggled or are struggling with what you had kind of walked through?
If you're struggling with addiction, just gotta reach out for help. Your family will be there for you. Find a support network. Once you establish that support network, the first couple of years are hard, but after that, it's just an afterthought. And I had a very strong support system with my family and friends. Yeah. Where my drug friends were just friends that I knew from using drugs. They weren't lifelong friends. They weren't people that I was attached to. They were just they were a convenient person, because we had one thing in common, that was methamphetamine. So after that, it was, once you're out of that scene, it's fairly easy to, not go back.
Yeah. Can you think of, you said you went to treatment, they gave you some tools. Was there like a tangible tool that kind of helped you?
The one thing I needed the most help with was reforming the relationships I lost with my friends and family. So I needed that counselor and that somebody to mediate between me and my family. Otherwise, that was my biggest struggle. And then just, they teach you from, day one to own up to your responsibilities, and your choices are, nothing happened to you because of someone else. It was your choice that got you here.
Well, I'm grateful that you didn't stay there, and you went to service industry, got into working? What restaurant were you working then after that?
I worked at a little place in Lakeville called Copper Blue. It's a little bit higher end.
Okay.
That shortly shut down, and then I went to Stella's, and I was there for 15 years.
Stella's in Uptown.
Yep.
Okay, so you finally went from the burbs. You made it to the city.
Yep.
Stella's, was it before when it first opened?
It was about a year after it opened.
Okay.
I was there.
Okay.
So
did you go out in the city before Stella's, or how did you?
I never
stumble
went
upon
up
there?
to Uptown.
Okay.
I just had a regular that worked at or there was a regular that would come into the restaurant Copper Blue in Lakeville that I knew.
Yeah.
And he worked at Stella's, and they tried getting me to go there. They basically recruited me to work there, and because spring was right around the corner and they needed bodies. And next thing you know, I quit my job down in the burbs and went up to the city and never looked back.
Serving, bartending, both?
Mostly
managing?
serving, and then I eventually progressed into bartending and serving.
Okay. And how long were you at Stella's?
15 years.
15 years.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize it was there that long, but and in that, so you just kind of committed to serving. You did that well, and
Yep. And then I eventually worked my way up into a management role,
okay.
where I was overseeing the nightlife, the late night operations and the security staff.
I'm sure we crossed paths. Maybe.
Probably did.
I don't think you kicked me out.
No, I'm too little.
I might have been in there. I might have been in there a few times.
I'm the person that
15
points
years
out
you
the
were
problem, not enforces the action to the problem.
That was such a long walk up those stairs to get to the rooftop.
Yep.
But, that's great. And then, so talk about the transition. Like, what did you do after Stella's?
So I immediately went into real estate. So I was there for 15 years, and I had a good friend, Daniel Beckius, who was a part of the brokerage.
Okay.
Was trying to recruit me into real estate for years and years before even Chris Lindahl Real Estate was a brokerage.
Yeah.
And then I heard about the scholarship opportunity. Called him up and said, "Hey, I want to do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it seriously." And
so when was this?
That would have been 2019. So October of 2019.
October 2019. And so you took the scholarship opportunity.
Yep, took the scholarship opportunity. Worked 50 hours a week at Stella's while doing the 30-hour a week course. Grinded that out for a month. Got my license. And then just grinded working at Stella's 50 hours a week, and then doing real estate for 40.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a part-time job. It definitely it took its toll. Where eventually I needed to do one or the other.
Yeah. Let's just kind of back up just a little bit, because 15 years, I feel like you'd be committed to Stella's, and sometimes people go into the next transition because they're forced into it, like losing a job or something, but. For you, that wasn't the case.
Well, the pandemic kind of forced my hand too.
To fully commit to real estate.
Commit to real estate.
But in that transition from 15 years, were you just not satisfied with Stella's? Did you know that you had more to offer? What was the?
I didn't want to be a 40-year-old server running around chasing 21-year-olds because they spilt a Miller Lite on the ground.
Okay.
I was got too old. My body was taking a toll, and just your mental health of being in a restaurant and being around the nightlife per se.
In that too, I mean, I'm just thinking about 15 years working in that industry as a someone recovering from addiction. Were there times that it was tough?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean,
so
you're around people that are drinking, versus something else. I mean, I still drink here and there.
Okay.
I know when to cool it, and I know when, I can go out and have a night on the town. But at the end of the day, you just gotta, limit yourself and, be aware.
And that's great. I mean, what I hear is that had to learn a lot about yourself early on, and I think as you get older, a lot of times people just have to lean on what they know.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes the scariest place to be is everyone loves you and then you don't love you, and you look in the mirror and you're like, man, and then you're performing for people all the time. So it sounded like you at Stella's were just kind of in your wheelhouse, but maybe got too old for it.
Too old, definitely too old. My body started, you're on your feet 40 hours a week running around, and next thing you know, you're having knee issues, ankle issues, and you're tired all the time. And, there's more to life than, working in a bar from 3 to 3,
So you make that transition, Chris Lindahl Real Estate, scholarship program.
Yep.
And so talk about then pandemic hit, and this one.
So the pandemic hit, and before the pandemic, I was working 90 hours a week. I had a couple clients that were buyers, and then found a couple sellers here and there.
Yeah.
But before the pandemic, I was just running myself ragged, and I ended up having to quit Stella's because of the pandemic. I was forced out of work, so I focused solely on real estate.
Yeah.
And I found it to be a lot more enjoyable, rewarding. You get a taste of working for yourself and doing your schedule and managing your time instead of somebody else managing you, which I found I liked a lot. And to me, it's not really working. It's kind of like a treasure hunt.
Yeah. Say more about that.
Every day is a treasure hunt. Like, am I going to find some treasure today? I don't know. Like, I might be able to go to this listing appointment and, they sign with me and they're a buyer. And next thing you know, like, you're gonna help a family, which is super exciting and fun, but also there's a reward for you at the end of it.
That's fun. I love that posture.
Yeah,
though.
it's like treasure hunting.
You go in, you're like, other than like, I wonder how much I'm gonna make here, or just like, hey, there's something out there to be found or not be found.
Yeah, it's like a treasure hunt. You don't know how much it is. It could be a lot, could be a little. I don't know. At least if you find something, it's great.
And I'm sure it kept you going when you started seeing success.
Yep.
So talk about that moment when you realize, like, man, I'm like good at this. Like,
oh God.
Did you have that?
I still don't think I'm good at it. I have questions about it every day.
Hey, well,
I'm still learning.
No. I would say that's a healthy place to be. I think sometimes people get there too quick, like, I'm really good at this, but at the same time, there are moments where you're like, hey, I can do this, and I'm seeing success, and I'm where I need to be. Because I think it's easy for people that might have jumped in after the pandemic to still question, am I supposed to be here? I feel like I got forced here. But for you, I feel like you know that you should be doing this.
Yeah. If I can walk into a room and make CJ like me, I can make anyone like me.
And make it sound like I'm just a bad person. No, but I think that's part of it. And what I like seeing, or what I have noticed, is a lot of successful agents have worked with a lot of different types of people, and oftentimes they come out of the service industry. So talk about that transition of, okay, how do those skills and experiences that you had at Stella's and even prior to that, how do you see them translating into this industry?
You got to understand that everybody's personality is different. You're not always going to be friends with everyone. You're not always going to, mesh with someone, and just reading those people, and almost morphing into what they want you to be. Sometimes people want you to be their friend and help them along the way. Some people just want a strictly just business transaction, or they don't want to get to know you personally, or don't want you to get to know them personally.
Yeah.
It comes down to just reading the person and matching their personality, so they want to work with you.
Yeah. And I'm just picturing you bartending, like, there's people that just want a beer and don't talk to me, and there's people that just are asking questions like, oh, this person wants to talk more.
Yeah.
And I think that's the skill and art of sales is, hey, we're here for something, but understanding the people that you're working with most or deeply actually will make the experience better for both of you. And so talk about KLRE. Like, you, this is your place, but why here? Like, why KLRE for you?
Why? Because the amount of opportunities that are given to us. You can't go to any other real estate agency out there and get these types of leads or these opportunities. Chris has taught us how to convert on our leads and our opportunities, but he's never taught us how to find them. So that's the value that I see in KLRE is, we have the opportunities of just the luxury of just looking at our phone or getting a phone call or a text message of somebody that wants to buy or sell a home. And it's up to you to, convert that lead. Yeah. Which, I don't want to sit in an open house, but that's just personally me. Yeah. So I don't know, that it's just the
opportunities.
Yep.
So we have a lot of people that are new and some tenured agents. When you think about when you first started this journey into real estate, what do you know now, kind of where you're at in your career in it? that you wish you knew when you were first getting started?
Oh, geez. Take as much CE as you can. I know it sounds stupid,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a lot of continuing education classes that I've taken throughout the past year that is like, oh, that would have been nice to know about 6 months ago.
Okay.
And it's stuff that you really don't consider until, it's too late, or it's hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
Obviously we have the support staff and the mentors and the tenured agents that can help us.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you if you don't ask those questions, you never know.
Yeah.
And sometimes a couple of the things are things I assumed
Mm-hmm.
that I knew, and then come to find out I was wrong, and it didn't bite me in the butt.
Yeah.
So
that's on the professional side. I mean, just like stay up with the continuing education, keep learning, keep growing. What would you tell to people getting into it about your personal health and personal goals? Like, how do you stay healthy on that side of things?
Well, I try to work out every day. It's not working right now. I'm a little chunky. But, wake up in the morning and have some coffee and start your morning out right. Limit the alcohol consumption because that can easily ruin your next day. And always, my fear of not being successful is what drives me. So I want to sell more homes than I sold last year. I don't want my bank account to read zero. I want to, have nice things and do fun things and stuff like that. So I just keep running. Don't look back.
That's great. And I will say you've been fun to hang out with. You've been fun to run into in the office. And I love when people talk about you because they'll love the energy that you bring. And so I'm grateful for our time, and thank you again for sharing the shadows of your story. I mean, a lot of times people focus on success, but I think clearly in the way that I'm seeing and hearing your story play out is that season actually set you up for the success that you have. Mm-hmm. And with the right perspective, I love it. You're like, I'm on a treasure hunt every day.
It is a treasure hunt.
And so that's the takeaway that I'm taking away. So I'm grateful for our time, man.
I appreciate
Seriously.
it. Thanks for having me. I got to go treasure hunt.
All right, go hunting.